Now let's take a look at the tail of the tape for Adamek and Briggs fighting in the 175-pound weight class. You see the 2-inch age advantage for Adamek. A height advantage of 3 inches for the Polish fighter over the Australian. Arm length advantage of 1.5 inches measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. Adamek weighed in 1 pound under the limit, enters the ring unofficially at 182 tonight. Briggs weighed in at 175, enters the ring unofficially at 180. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Tomasz Adamek Paul Briggs fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules that you see on your screen. Jim, real quick, the 4 criteria that the judges will use to score each individual round: clean punching, effective aggressiveness, reach generalship, and defense, with a strong emphasis on clean, effective punching.
Both fighters, thank you very much, Harold. Both fighters are aggressive and entertaining in the ring. Both fighters have amazing personal stories, especially Paul Briggs.
Briggs looks like a choir boy, but when his autobiography came out after the last fight, he revealed that he had been raped by a relative as a boy, that he had been a kickboxer in Thailand at the age of 15, that he came home at 20 plus and became a standover man or a mob enforcer, that he was a drug addict, that he was a DJ, a colorful character whose father and uncle were fighters. He can fight.
He told us, Emanuel Stewart, that before the autobiography was published, he had last-minute second thoughts because his story is so dark. Is it good for him to get it all out?
I think it's good for him in more ways than one. First of all, people out here in life who's had those same experiences that he's had probably sympathizes with him, is more attracted to him. Plus, also, the fact that it's made him a tough individual.
And here's another tough individual. Tomasz Adamek of Poland grew up amid extreme economic hardship in Poland, worked as an electrician while beginning to build his boxing career there. Ultimately said to himself, as do some heavyweights, if I'm gonna be great, I've got to go to America. For the last 2 years, he's been living in Jersey City and teaching inner-city kids to box.
In his background, when he was 2 years old, his father was killed in a coal mining accident along with 30 others.
Last year, Emanuel, he fought and beat Briggs, even though he broke his nose in training 2 weeks before. This guy has guts.
He has guts, and I think that's what got, it's still amazing what got him through the fight. But for this fight, he said he wants to be a technical fighter. He doesn't want to get into a slugfest like he did the last fight.
Which is why he has brought in a trainer who will try to instill more of a boxing style, the well-known Buddy McGirt.
He's also brought in a large share of this crowd, 1 million Polish people living here in Chicago area. He is the first born and bred Pole to have won a title.
And about the Polish house, Briggs says, no problem, I used to be a kickboxer in Thailand. Now let's go to Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Allstate Arena, Rosemont, Illinois, here in the Chicago metropolitan area, where tonight Don King Productions and Sauerland Event presents an evening of World Championship Boxing on HBO. Sponsored by Olymp Vodka and Grossinger Cadillac, all bouts sanctioned by the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. This first bout is a WBC contest. President Jose Suleiman, Supervisor Chuck Williams. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this bout: Mauro Di Fiore, Ray Hawkins, and Ken Morita. And inside the ring, your referee in charge of the action, Tim Adams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue, official weight 175 pounds, professional record 25 victories, including 18 knockouts, only 2 defeats. From Sydney, Australia, the WBC #1 ranked light heavyweight contender in the world, Paul Firepower Briggs. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with red. Official weight, 174 pounds. A perfect professional record consisting of 30 bouts, 30 victories with 20 knockouts. Originally from Gliwice, now fighting out of Bielsko-Biała, Poland. Ladies and gentlemen, Panie I Panowie, the reigning, defending, undefeated WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, Tomasz Adamek.
Let's start clearing it out. Let's go. Let's start getting them out. Let's go. Let's start clearing them out. Okay, come to the center. Okay, listen up. The rules were explained to both of you fighters in your dressing room, all right? Here are your instructions. I want you to keep your punches up at all times. I want you to obey the commands that's going to be given to you at all times. In the case of a knockdown, the man who is standing, I'm going to put him in a neutral corner where I want him to be, and I expect for him to stay there until I tell him to come out. Good luck to both of you. Protect yourselves at all times. Let's go to work.
Adamek has good boxing skills and wants to make this more of a boxing contest in the first fight. Briggs is a brawler and wants to make it more of a brawl than the first fight. Only one of them can be right.
I believe that although Adamek wants to make this a boxing contest, I think the crowd and excitement is going to force him to have to fight. I don't think he's going to be able to box in this fight.
Briggs comes out of his corner and bangs a 1-2 that knocks Adamek momentarily back into the ropes. Adamek looks stronger and more heavily muscled than in the ring here in Chicago a year ago. Briggs landed a lot of big right hands in the first fight. Adamek was the fighter who was able to land combinations. Briggs says tonight he needs to step up the intensity, throw more combinations, and prove he's the better man.
One thing that's going for Adamek also, he had a great amateur background. He had a lot of good amateur fights internationally and would have been on the Olympic team, I think, if he hadn't turned professional.
Well, indeed, what we are seeing in the heavyweight class shows up in the light heavyweight and the super middleweight and the middleweight divisions as well, and that is the substance and the exceptionally good training and the intelligence that European fighters are showing across the board in the sport.
Yes, they spend much more time getting their basic foundation on them than we do in America. A lot because the guys are going to stay and fight maybe 5-10 years international amateur boxing, whereas our guys turn professional almost every 48 months.
And once ridiculed as programmatic stand-up fighters who are utterly predictable, we now see many Europeans who blend styles, who bend at the waist, who show the athletic qualities necessary to be fully well-rounded fighters. Adamek gets hit with the right hand and bolted back. Then he comes back with combination punching to make his mark on Briggs.
Adamek is fighting a beautiful fight at this stage now. He's mixing up everything, sticking to his plan of boxing, body, head, very good defense, and he's taking control over the fight.
And there's a perfect left hook
so much for
by
control.
Paul Briggs. Briggs, who didn't throw enough left hands in last year's fight, scores a first-round knockdown with a perfect left hook shot. Adamek told us yesterday he had never been down in a professional prize fight. So there goes that stat.
Yeah. Emmanuel, we've all done that. Don't let it get to you.
Well, that's boxing, one punch. But I still think he's fighting a very good fight. But, you know, one punch can change everything around.
Step back.
I keep forgetting sometimes.
Well, and now let's see what Adamek can do in the remaining 42 seconds of the round, because remember, it's a 10-8 round for Briggs if Briggs is able to win the round overall to go with the knockdown. But if Adamek is seen by the judges as the clear winner of the round, then it becomes 10-9.
Well, actually, from this point on, Adamek is still winning the round again.
And he was winning before the knockdown.
I'm going to disagree there. He'd have to win the round. He'd have to win the other part of the round big to stop it from being a two-point round.